I bet you thought that this video was probably not going to happen. And it almost didn't. Well, in all honesty, this was not on purpose. I planned on doing what I usually do with the 7 Deadly Sins challenge, the Witches Black Lent, which is to keep up with a video a week and explain what I'm doing for that week's challenge, or prompt, I should say, and or show it and or speak my experience with it. And that is not what I did, as you can tell. And this video feels so late on like that time frame, but I feel like I'm working with envy very deeply still. I know that in the past I've talked about how when I pick a sin, I tend to carry it with me the rest of the year, and that's not new, but it feels so much more involved than it did in the past, where I felt like in the past I was choosing to stick with the sin for the rest of the year. Like it was a choice, and now I don't feel like it's a choice. And this doesn't come from a place of powerlessness. It actually comes from a very empowered place, because the reason that I say I have no choice is because what I'm trying to do with my life and how I want to continue to, bring into my life the things that I've been bringing into my life requires me to continue on this path. But originally, like I said, I planned on doing a video a week. I even started drafting notes for like my intro video, and I was going to talk about how I see envy, how I was going to work with envy, and the 2 ways that you could work with envy. Well, it's not just 2 ways, but like, the lens of being envied, being the one that is feeling the envy on them, and then also the one who is feeling envious of others or like situations, etc., etc. Because I think that they're both very heavy, and they can lend to, like, you could really work with envy, I guess, 2 years in a row, and in totally different ways if you look at it in those 2 like very obvious lenses, I guess, for lack of better terms. Now, I did not want to work with envy originally. It was not my choice. I was sort of set on Pride, and I was really excited to work with Pride. I was looking forward to working with Pride, but if you follow me on Instagram, then you know that my relationship with tarot and the path that I've walked with tarot for the past few years has only become deeper and deeper. And I feel that I can say with the utmost confidence that tarot is my #1 witch's tool. And I've used tarot for years before I ever thought of it being like a tool in the way that it is now. And I'm so glad that it's reached that depth, that level with me. But that could be a different video. Because of that, I was deciding, it would be cool to ask the tarot, like, what do you think about the sin that I'm choosing to do? What are your opinions? And I ended up using this deck. Well, this deck from the beginning, this deck was like, this is the deck for the Witches Black Lent for you. And I'm laughing. Where's the box? Where did she leave the box? Well, technically, no, it is just this box. It's right here, actually. Okay. I don't know why I'm showing you the box. I could just show you the cards, but it is this beautiful baby right here. The Eldritch Overload Tarot. It is cyberpunk to the T. And, looking back now, specifically at lust, but also at greed, wrath kind of strays from this a little bit. But when I am creating the visual of what the sin is for me, and I'm breathing life into it, it tends to fall into that type of universe. It's not, like, I wouldn't label it as, like, demonic or underworld, definitely otherworld, which I see a difference between those. For me, when I use those terms, I see something different, so that's why I say it like that. So I thought to consult the cards with this specific deck, and I pulled cards on Pride, and I got some not so can I even talk now? Some not so fun cards, and I didn't like it. I didn't like the feeling that it gave me. So then, you know, I got into my little attitude. I was like, I could still work with Pride if I want to. Like, you know, I have autonomy and all that stuff. But then I was like, but you gotta be devil's advocate and see what the cards have to say about the other sins you haven't done yet. So this was my 4th year, which sounds kind of crazy. My 4th year doing the Witches Black Lent. So I'm running out of options here. So I'm like, okay, let's see what it has to say about sloth. And I knew that sloth wasn't the way I was going to go, just because I wintered hardcore. Like, arguably, my winter was sloth. But I wasn't working with the sin in that capacity, nor did I, like, try to. But I just knew that I was wintering. I was hermit mode on a whole other level, and it was very much needed. My ears are ringing. But because of that, I was like, no, I'm not going to do sloth because I feel like I slothed enough. But I was like, let's just pull. And I pulled for sloth, and I got like nothing. Like, yes, I got cards, but like it was like quiet, you know, like the energy was like me. I was like, okay, like what sins are left? And then the first one that came to my mind was envy. And I was like, ew. I did not want to do envy. And maybe that should have been a sign. But I did not want to do envy. And I was like, well, I got to pull cards on it. And I pulled cards on it. And those cards were the 6 of Potions. They call cups potions in this deck, but 6 of Cups. And the 6 of Coins. So 2 6s. And we have water, emotions, creativity. Then we have coins, pentacles, earth, tangible things, mundane things. So just thinking about that, also getting 2 of the same number, it was very like balanced, right? And it's funny because when I pulled the 6 of Potions originally, you know what, I should show you those cards, because when I pulled the 6 of Potions originally, I thought I pulled the 6 of Coins. And then when I went to pull the second card and I got the 6 of Coins, I was like, wait, didn't I just pull the 6 of Coins? And I looked at it and it was the 6 of Cups. And it's also because they're very similar in color. Like, they match. They go together very well, which, you know, isn't something you can, I don't know. This deck doesn't follow, I don't know how to say that. Whatever, here are the cards. So I first got 6 of Potions, which is this one. And then I got 6 of Coins, which is this one. So we have this theme of giving and receiving, and that's why I thought the 6 of Potions was the 6 of Coins, right? Because it looks like there's an exchange here, which is what's happening in your typical RWS 6 of Coins, 6 of Pentacles. So I was like, oh, an exchange, giving and receiving. But then when I got the 6 of Coins, I was like, what? And it felt like the message was double. It just felt like this was what I needed to see, and it also felt very like real in my body. Like, that's what really told me I have to work with envy. And I was reluctant as hell to work with envy. I did not want to work with envy, and I know it's because it brings up a lot for me on both sides of the coin. It brings up, you know, feelings of me experiencing that envy for other situations, material resources, opportunities, you name it, you know, everything that everyone that's a normal human has felt. And then also being on the side of seeing and experiencing how painful it feels to have someone, especially when it's someone that's close to you or someone that you don't expect to feel anything but utter happiness for you, throw that towards you. And I haven't even gotten into the discussion of how this ties into spiritual hygiene and spiritual protection, because as a witch, right, these are like big ticket items. These are, witchcraft 101. These aren't things that we skip over. And that kind of like takes me into the whole like why I also have been MIA, not just from YouTube, because I've been MIA from YouTube for a while now, but even from Instagram. I stayed gone for like a few months, and it had to do with, I just wanted to not be influenced by anything. I didn't want to be provoked by anything I saw. I didn't want to be inspired by anything that I saw. I wanted everything that I was doing and immersed in to be from the fountain of my own inner fire. And I understand that can come off as, it can come off as however, honestly. I'm not even going to try to guess how people saw that, because I guess it doesn't matter anymore. It really doesn't. It worked for me, and I think that that's the whole point of doing things like the Witches Black Lent, is you, especially when you're doing it for more than a year. Like I said, this is my 4th year. And every year prior to this, I felt like I was getting deeper and deeper into a formula that I really was comfortable following, with like posting a video a week and, very like routine. And this year it was so not routine. And even though I kind of craved going back to that original format, I couldn't get myself to do it because I felt so pulled in another way towards something different. And I don't regret a single thing of it. I've been loving the experience a lot. I even created more artwork with the sin than I ever have before. In the past, I would just real quickly draw out what I kind of saw in my mind's eye, and then maybe like go back and color it a little bit. But this time I really sat with it. And I did more than just draw what I saw in my mind's eye. I did more things with my art. Actually, back here, it literally says envy. And I don't want to zoom it in and show it to you, because I don't want you to see everything that I wrote in there, because that's private right now. But I really spent a lot of time just with myself and experiencing the energy of the sin and the feelings that brought up, and how to utilize that for myself and the path that I'm on now. I spent so much time on that, which is very, very ironic to say that now, because during the time that I was experiencing that, I felt like I wasn't doing enough. I felt, and it has so much to do with not being seen. Like, nobody's seeing me do these things. So who's going to give me my golden star for doing them? And I was like, but why do I care? If this is transformational on its own, why do I want to talk about it, post about it? And there's nothing wrong with that. I could actually afford to do more of that, especially on YouTube, because I kept so much of myself like this for so long, because I had a lot of like trust issues with people. And some of that is tied into the sin of envy. When you realize that you're so excited to share something or several things with the people that you trust and care about, and then you find out that they're not happy for you, or that they're fake happy for you. And in reality, they're really wanting to own and dominate what it is that you have and to take it away from you. It kind of changes the way you see things for a while, and I experienced it at a very young age. The first memory that I have of this, I was 10, and obviously it was impactful. That's why it's still in my mind, my memory bank now, and I'm 35. So yeah, there's just so much that I could share. And obviously I've been talking for like over 15 minutes now, but it has definitely been an experience, and I feel like a whole different person. But this isn't just, the Witches Black Lent doing its magic, even though most definitely a huge part of that, has to do with how I feel now. But it's just working with my own inner cycles and my own timing with things. And that ties back into why it took me so long to even post this video. And I was reluctant to even post this video because not only is it late, but I don't feel as done as I think that I should have compared to my experience in the past. I'm kind of going through where I have my notes to see if there's anything I just kind of want to throw at y'all real quick. But yeah, it was funny. I was trying to script way before, when I didn't know that this was going to be what it was. I was trying to script, and that's just hilarious. Oh, I do have the envy invocation. Oh, I don't know if I want to share that. Okay, another thing that's different too this year is I always, for the past 3 years, created an incense blend. And I didn't do that this time. This time I actually made an oil. And I was like, who does she think she is? I mean, I made oils for years, but oh, look at that. I don't know if you could see. It is so green. I don't feel like the light really captures how beautifully green this is. Wait. Don't zoom in on my face. I don't know. It's gorgeous. And it smells amazing. I used musk, blue tansy, and like another flower that I don't want to share. But it smells divine. It smells divine. This chunky glass candle, I just burped. This chunky glass candle, it's what I've used to invoke envy and envy's powers. Also, another thing that changed is I did not give the sin, this entity, a different name than just calling it envy. And it just felt right to just call it envy. And maybe it's because envy started becoming like such a pretty like word. Like it just felt like envy. Like, I don't know. It just started sounding very pretty to me. And then these are just some like beautiful like stone offerings towards the energy. But yeah, I've been using the oil. I love the oil. What else? Let's see. Okay, so I did touch on spiritual hygiene just because I do think it is a big part of envy. You know, when we talk about like mal de ojo, in Italian, I think it's malocchio. I am not fluent by any means in Italian, and I probably know like literally 2 words. So don't expect to get those lessons from me on proper pronunciation, but I think that's how it's said. I know how it's spelled in my head, but I don't know if I pronounced it right. Anyways, the evil eye, right? So you think about, I have stories about that too, from like my grandmother, actually my great grandmother, that was passed down to my grandmother that I might want to talk at another time. But I grew up with understanding envy from personal experience, but also through just all these stories of warnings that I was given. And there's still certain things that my mom will be like, I'm not going to say that to them though, because I don't want them throwing anything at me. And I just think that's interesting. There's a lot going on there. But yeah, spiritual hygiene, spiritual protection. Spiritual protection to me falls under spiritual hygiene, but spiritual hygiene is not just protection, right? It's like the cleansing. And I've been having like this, I don't know, kind of about the word like clean and cleansing, you know, but that's like my own thing that I'm dealing with. So brush that to the side. So I'm not sharing everything that I do with you guys because that would take a while to try to think back of everything that I did, because I don't always do the same stuff, but really being conscious of where I'm stepping into and how I want to feel. Not just be perceived, but how I want to feel. Because one thing is showing up, you know, in your glamour and portraying that outward. And another thing is whether you're allowing something to come in or not, and how you want that to work on you or not work on you. So, you know, I think you get the gist because you guys aren't newbies. But one thing that stayed like at the top, and I have it written down here, is, and this was part of like my work with envy, is this statement: may I be empowered to take action despite feelings towards those things I want most. Like, and I feel like that really encompasses the empowering side of working with envy, because what does feeling envy really tell us? It's a signpost, right? That you do not feel satisfied with something, whether it's how you're living your life or how you feel about your world, right? Something's missing. There's an energy mismatch, which is why you think you feel these feelings in your body towards what somebody else has or owns or is experiencing or is going through, right? So more than anything, envy really shows direction, where you need to be putting your energy or where you need to be investigating, right? So envy, more than anything, is a sensor. And I think that's very obvious, but I'm saying it for the lack of, I'm just trying to be thorough, I guess. I'm just trying to be thorough. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? Okay, I was going to talk to you guys about different kinds of envy and then give examples. I don't know who I think I am with these notes. This is like past Jasmine. Who knows who she was? I don't know her anymore. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So that's like my digital notes, because I have notes on every sin that I've worked on digitally, because I don't want to lose that. But I keep a lot of the readings that I do in here, and I did multiple readings on envy. Oh, that's what I didn't finish talking about. When I was talking about, I kept feeling like I wasn't doing enough when I actually was doing quite a bit. And one of the biggest proofs that I was doing quite a bit is the amount of readings that I did with envy. Like I said, tarot is like my #1 tool of choice. So I use it for everything. But I did ask a couple of different things. So before I did these readings, I asked what sins to work with, right? So that was the initiation. But then, oh no, I think I did 4 readings. Gotta sneeze. Bless me. Always. Okay, 160, 163. I number my pages because these didn't come numbered. Maybe I should read some of this stuff. Envy, much like the tarot, is a mirror, a look into what we may fear, what we haven't faced, what we long for. Mediocrity is less than desirable, and to be able to surpass it, we must understand what we are aiming for. To dare to dream may be intimidating and at times disconcerting. We may even prevent ourselves from truly admitting what we want. Ego keeps us like this, safe. But where the glow of green arises, we sense this proximity to our true wants, desires, dreams, and even purpose. Working with envy was the longest stare into this fun house mirror. Out of all the sins that I worked with, obviously they were all in divine timing, right? Super aligned, girl. But what I'm trying to say is this was bitter medicine. That's what I was trying to say. It was very bitter medicine. I got makeup on my hand. Anyways, if you looked at my last year, Witches Black Lent, I did provide tarot questions or tarot prompts, I believe. I don't know if I'm repeating some of those, but here we go. So one of the questions that I asked envy was, what have you come to teach me? Which you could totally do when you're in meditation in your inner sanctum or in the other world or whatever it is that you do. You could totally do that. You don't have to pull cards on it, but I did. So what have you come to teach me was I think the most obvious one you can ask. Then how is working with you to my soul benefit? Not my soul as in I have a soul, but to my soul benefit as in beneficial to me, not to the energies around me, not to the energies that I'm calling on, not to the energies that you're being manifested from, not to my past self, not to me, just me, who I am now, the one that is reaching in to pull out something that is of substance. And I think being that specific and being specific in general with your questions when you can afford to be is very, very important when pulling tarot cards. But yeah, that one was really good. What was the other one? And a lot of the times I'll have 1 or 2 questions, and then from there I'll get okay, 10 is an exaggeration, but I will continue shooting questions from where I'm at. I went on to write my experience in my inner sanctum with envy. And the energy, the way that I felt envy this time was also very different. Like, duh, they're all going to be different. But envy felt very possessive, which is funny because I thought lust would have felt the most possessive when it comes to the sins. But envy actually felt the most possessive, the most on top of me. And envy ended up having these vines that shot out of it. And then the last question that I'm going to leave you with that I think gave me so much with the cards was asking, who is envy? And this came after I created this entity, after I had conversations with this entity, after I did all this exploration that I talked about previously. This was like when I'm like, okay, it's complete. Yeah, it's like, who is envy? After I did all of this energetic work, I wanted to know, did I create what I think I created? And this I know is brand new. I never asked this before at this, like with the timing that I did with any of the other sins. And this is also something that I might want to go back and do when I want to work with the other sins as well, because I do periodically call on the different sins depending on what I'm trying to invoke, you know. Okay, so who is envy? And then I was only thinking I was going to pull a card or three, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 came out. 6. Just like in the beginning where I had 6 and 6. Triple 6 now, I guess. But yeah, 6 total cards came out. And all I'm going to say is the majority of the cards were wands. And this just felt right. Because envy felt very possessive, which is very fiery. But envy itself didn't feel like the element of fire. Yeah, I think I'm just going to sign off. I don't know how much of this is going to make the final cut, but right now we're looking at 35 plus minutes. And bless your soul, whoever decides that they're going to watch this entire thing. But I feel like for my own satisfaction, I need to just upload this, regardless of whether somebody thinks it's useful or not. But if you stuck around, thanks for listening. And if you have any ideas on what videos I can make next or anything you want to watch or know about me, feel free to drop it in the comments. And then follow me on Instagram if you want to see me a little bit more often, because I have been posting practically daily on there lately. It's just become so easy and it's just been flowing. But yeah, so I am going to be logging on to see if anybody comments too, though. So I'm not just going to like drop the video and disappear. I don't know if that made a difference or not, but I guess that's all I have to say. So thanks for watching. Bye.